Round 12, NRL Fantasy and the Supercoach results here. Again, sorry for the microphone being not as nice sounding, that's for sure, but we're here, we're doing it, and we've got the Fantasy and the Supercoach results in this one, and we're kicking it off with my team here. And we did move back, unfortunately, from 2650, just under 2600 there at 2590 out to 3050. So not a terrific week. I did get under 800 there at 792. With a couple of little cheeky upgrades right at the end of lockout there, with Piakura going up 2, Lussick up 1. I think Aiken end up going down 1. Plath hold the same. What else do we have? Grant went back up 3, which is nice, to a 50 as well. And I think that was... and then Blow up to a 23, which is helpful. Yeah, just a couple little switcheroos, little changes across the team from round 12. But... in saying that, I did only use one trade last week, and I would have used none if Jolliffe didn't get injured. So just the one. And then this week, I do have 14 available players. So I'll get through that in a sec. But this is the round 12 results. Grant's 50, still a little bit underwhelming, but close to where he's priced at now, which is, fine. We obviously just have higher expectations on what he can provide. But King coming in and getting 56 was really good for my side. Having to play Hughes with the 22, not so great, along with that of Blory's 23. So two not exciting scores there. If you didn't captain Hines, obviously you ended up with a better score than most. But 17 doubled up. For him, Iroh's 26, not super ideal, along with Atkinson's 32. And Lussick's 15, that was the big killer. Lussick's 15, to be fair, and Blaw's 23. Two very point of difference type of players that didn't perform in this week, which is frustrating. Karaz was the big point of difference guy, and Aiken... they came out and did well, and very happy with plus score as well. So, a few mixed results, let's say, across the side. And really, from this point on, we do just move on to next week and what we're looking to try and do from that point on. Kuipers, Paul, Brayley, Armstrong, and Fuller were all out for me this week, and they are back coming into round 13, which is great news. And let's look at that now. I have set it up in a way that's it is ready to go for this week if I wanted to leave it as is. I have 13 trades available, for the rest of here till 19. I will want to try and save a couple if possible. And I know last year coming into 13, we were trading a little bit, sort of 2 to 3. I'll have to go back and kind of look where we're at following round 13, just as a bit of a gauge as to, what we should be expecting going forward, because we all ended up in a position last year where the last few rounds of the whole season, we didn't have any trades left, and sort of coming into that round 20 number, that 8 was basically a fresh start for a lot of people that were down to 0 trades by about sort of around 16, 17, 18. Not many people had too many trades coming into 19, or if you did, it might have been 2 or 1, and you could use them for that week. But obviously remember that round 19 will be fairly hard, especially if you haven't got too many trades post round 16. If you're down to sort of a couple of trades there, unlikely you're going to be able to set your team up well enough for round 19. So I've got that in mind myself when I'm looking at my team this week. I have 14, as I said, with Lussick. Either just want to yeet him to the moon, or we're going to keep him as a potential looper. He does play in the first game, so this is a very easy way to show you guys how to do that. So, as I said there, I've got the full 13 on the park there, and then I've got Lussick as my extra. So in this case, I would have to remove Brayley from vice captain, although I had him as probably the second sort of safest scorer out there on that one. But let's just say we moved it to Drinkwater down there. And so what I can do here with my hooking position is you can loop. So I have Lussick, Brayley, who are playing this week, but then I also have Grant, who's on the bye. So how this would work, guys, I would be slotting in Lussick on that interchange there, as he is. Doesn't matter where he is, given... I'll explain it a little bit further, because anywhere he is there, he would be an emergency player, right? If my hooker didn't play. So if Lussick got a 50 odd and I wanted, to be fair, it'd probably have to be like 45 plus for me to take his score over Brayley. I would then move Brayley, switch him with Grant. And what that would mean there is that Brayley would be down here in emergency 6 and Lussick would be in interchange 1. It could be in 2, 3, 4, 5 or 5 there. And my first emergency hooker would come on. So that's the only way that this would work. So remember, if you don't have a couple of centers, but you have a couple of extra wing fullbacks, that doesn't work, because you would need a center on your interchange or emergency to replace that center from your starting team that is not playing. So that's the very simple, easy way to think about it when you're looking at your side there in that one. So yeah, that's my team coming into round 13. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of an idea of how many of the top sort of two to four in each position, depending on which one, with that one extra I've got in my side. So Brayley, I'd have to say he's probably third on the list in terms of best hookers you can buy. You've got Marnie and JMK, I'd say ahead of Jaden Brayley right now. He's probably in that third position, which is still pretty cool. But yeah, top two I think you'd want at this stage in the hooking spots. For the mids, I do have, I believe, two of the top four available, with Tapine and Jack DeBellin being the others. So Plath, King and Hughes for myself, with, as I said, DeBellin and also Tapine would be the next two on the list. And then, yeah, there's a few others on there that could be special mentions, but we know that those guys are the most important ones. And a good way to have a look at this now is to just pop on the side there, show the players with an available status. Robson's obviously not available. You know, Jacob Little's a really cool one to own, but I do think that Brayley, I'd have consistency-wise over Little. We know that he can go bigger than what Brayley can on a random week-to-week basis. In terms of guys that are available for the mid position, as I said, it is DeBellin up there now that McInnes is not there. Butcher's not playing currently. He might do, but yeah, not in there at the moment. Tapine, and then also obviously King there at 675k. You've got Radley coming up next. Josh Curran as a potential option as well. For our edge position, I'm sitting there with the best edge available in Euan Aitken right now. I mean, he absolutely showed that on the weekend, which is great, which is why he's going to end up with my captaincy tag. The second spot for me is Kai Pearce-Paul, but he sort of sits a little bit further down the pecking order. If he gets 80 minutes, then I'd have him in that top four for sure. Second on the list right now, without Hopgood, without Butcher, without Hudson Young, and Jeremiah Nanai, is going to be Dylan Lucas. Jaden Sewer's out as well. So Lucas comes in next, and then it might end up being Preston, who we'll speak about after team list tomorrow, but we've just lost Vil Kickout for 6 weeks, which is really, really frustrating for Dogs fans there for sure. I don't think many people are Kickout owners, especially in the fantasy side of things, potentially in Supercoach, but not as much. But yeah, Curran comes into that role. So right now, out of the 6 players available, I've got 3, I think, in the top section for each. And then you move to the halves, and this is a pretty dire position. It is Dylan Brown, number 1. I don't own him. Burton won't be there, unfortunately. Then Hastings would be next on that list, and Walker. So really, you know, Luai, people looking at him as well potentially, but Walker and Brown would be the 2 best. Now, after losing a few of those guys, I've got Weeks and Atkinson running down there, which Weeks has been scoring really well. Atkinson, even if it's with Braden Trindle, he's not going to be that dominant kicker. Like, you'll probably split it with Trindle from there. So I wouldn't expect anything more than sort of a 30 out of that. So yeah, the half position, it's a mixture of utilities and then a couple of those top guys. Centres there, I do think Karaz is in that top 4 for sure, especially with Lomax being out. You've got Dane Gagai, so Manu, Gagai, Farnworth, the 3 top dudes at the moment, and then Karaz fits into that as well. So to be fair, by price, he's the second best. So very, very happy to have him in the centres. Jesse Ramian didn't make it, so that's good for anyone who grabbed him a little while ago. But then Iro and Karaz, it's a really solid little grouping. For our wing fullback, obviously having Fuller, it's a really nice situation for myself, having him back, but obviously I had to get through these last couple of weeks without him. So net benefit, I don't know how much it is, and that's something we'll have to look at come, you know, next round. In round 14, he's got the bye, probably unlikely plays 15 as well, unless we do see something happen with Hammer in Origin. So good news is, for me, I can watch that game and see what happens if Hammer gets injured or anything like that. Hopefully he doesn't, but if he does, then Fuller benefits and he gets to play in those ones. But I put him in the top sort of 5 right now. Edwards isn't going to be there, but Marner, we've got him in the centres, but Tedesco is now the top wing fullback and is someone that I think a lot of people will target. But I have Fuller ahead of Osako at the moment. His average says so as well. Same for that with Dom Young. So Fuller and Drinkwater, I have them in that top 4 or 5, which is good. And then Armstrong coming off an 87. I'm really, really happy with this wing fullback little cameo here. The only part of my squad right now I'm not super excited about is probably that Atkinson position. I thought it would be a little bit better, but with Trindle being back, most likely his scoring won't be incredibly well. And then probably Sam Hughes. So that's where I'm at the moment. with this side. Let me know where you're at currently. And I do look at it and go, well, do I need to trade this week? No, obviously not, to get that 13 on the park. That's going to be such a benefit for me going forward. And that's something I'm looking at. Joey Lussick is the main guy in my team that needs to be rid of. Outside of that, it will probably be Atkinson fairly soon. I think he's on the chopping block along with Sam Hughes. So maybe Hughesy goes in round 15, potentially, getting him through these next two, and then we move on. Or he's someone that could easily, if I'm not going to be getting rid of some of these Origin guys, he's definitely someone that we could look to potentially move on as well. I want to speak about, not now, but I'll speak about it in the next, in that buy, hold, sell, or we'll have a little specific section on the Origin guys and what we're going to be doing with those players going forward, that's for sure. So let's have a quick look at the rankings, where we're at. So I'm 3,000, which puts me almost 600 points behind first. So congrats to Will. Haven't seen him up there, I don't think. Christian, Patrick, DJ, and also Joseph in the, rounding out that top 5. Squad values, they're increasing nicely. The top 5 between 13.3 and out to 13.72 for Patrick there. So really good situation. I'm not too far off the pace in terms of squad value with the top guys, but obviously it's hard to be anywhere near that if you got some players that aren't performing, like the Joey Lussicks and these types of guys there. Let's have a quick look at the leagues while we're here. And Scoop beat me this week, so well done to him. Ish without Hines there. It was a real helpful week for her, 867. My brother, they're at 795. So I was the lowest out of the 4 in the JBFA fam this week, which is a little bit rough, but it is what it is and how it goes. But yeah, private group 38th, fantasy, NRL fantasy analysis community at 261st. So congrats to everyone in there doing well. In terms of my other head-to-heads, I'm 15th in the seeded league. I copped a loss there as well. It's tough to get anywhere near that. But the other 2 head-to-heads, I'm 2nd and 4th, which is good. But losing the battle of the podcast at the moment, not too bad. Obviously, 5th out of the 25 there overall. But Dom moves into 4th place with a 938, so smashed me by 140 this week with, some really good players, and obviously for Feeder as captain there. But let's just have a little quick look while he's here, see if I can take back that spot anytime soon. Let's have a look at round 13 players. So McInnes is out, so it's for Feeder. We've got DeBellin up there with Iro, Carraz, that's 3, Tedesco 4, that worked out pretty well. And then pretty much his whole bench, okay. Add all them up, he's got, 12 playing this week. Yeah, so it's pretty good. Still in a pretty good situation right there. A couple of sort of mid to low tier guys in Neem and Hazleton with a 28. It's pretty rough last week. But yeah, okay, so he's still in a pretty good position there to do good things, but we're not too far apart from, 3rd to 5th, which is what it was. But yeah, big congrats and a shout out to Austin. By the way, mate, I only just saw your podcast rating of me. That was really, really nice to read, so I appreciate that. I know you are watching. 64th overall, mate. Impressive work there. A 924 with Hines as captain. But it's just another little example of what I was talking about with some of the luck the other day. Like, he's ended up with Tommy Talau with this in his starting side, obviously with the 17 this week, had to play him, but picked up a 63. Not even if he thought he was going to do well this year, like he obviously did, then you're thinking like maybe a 30 average or 35 average at best. So to pick up a 63 from him, get the 58 from Cole, and he's off and away doing good things. Salmon, end up holding on to Salmon, and picks up a 65. So things are working out for Austin, and I hope that he continues to go on and do great things. And then Daniel Long there with 173rd overall. So those two guys doing plenty of great work, and there's going to be a lot to catch up to them over the next little bit. Let's move on to the Supercoach side of things. It was an improved week. I did make a mistake, and I'll have to admit that, but playing Iro against Panthers over Galvin against the Cowboys was a mistake, and it ended up netting us about a 55 loss or something like that. So I could have had a absolute stormer of a week and moved into that top 5K, but still there at 5,270, making 2,500 rankings. So it was a really nice little push up this week, and projected with the team that I've sort of put together so far, a 975 there, which is pretty solid. I'm happy with that. But let's just go back, and I've already moved things around. So go back and check round 12, just up against this opponent here, who ended up beating me with a 1334. Congrats to you, Keaton, there in that one. All right, so Curran there had the 61. Happy with that in his 45 minutes. Drinkwater as captain was very, very helpful, not going for Hines in that scenario. A couple of the pods there in Katoa's 79. Walker's 100 was massive. We We had some low ones in Terrell May, highly owned, obviously. Isaac Tungwall's 39, so he's had basically low scores except for one in my team, and we'll see how that goes this week. But Iroh's 33, as I said, it cost me plenty there on that one. 57 in the end between him and Galvin. So, yeah, we'll learn from that mistake, but just got to admit them when it happens. Asako with 84 and Aiken 74 was a terrific finish to the round after trading in Ewan Aiken. He's been awesome, that's for sure. Val Holmes 136 was great, along with Coruscant 66. Did a lot of different work this week rather than having to score a try. Garrick 69, and Coruscant didn't make Origin either, so that's great. Garrick's was good. Crichton with the try was good. Yeah, Hines not captaining him, got the 3. Some people don't own him, I suppose, so they won out. But Blaze Solangi's 87, great trade in. I've owned him this whole time, but finally played him. Brown 66, both for Moore's 81, and a couple of lower scores outside of Galvin's 90, with Strange picking up 43 there in that one. So let's get into the team now and show you where I'm at. And again, it's a very, very good position there. 22 trades left, but I don't have to make any. We've got Brayley in there along with Terrell May, Karen Hughes, so there's 4. Ewan Aiken, Kai Paul and Smithies. Awesome. That makes 7 there to start. 8 with Walker, 9 with Brown. Then we've got 5 centre wings, which is awesome, to make 14. I'm actually up to 16 with Drinkwater and Fuller. So there's only one play here. Like, I've got the full squad and then one player up here in 2RF that I've reserved there in both for more. So outside of that, I've got 16. And I was potentially looking at getting Armstrong into this side, but it's just not going to happen. It's not worth making that trade, in my opinion. I've got so many players, 16 available for this week. And yeah, really happy with that. Round 14, I'll be in a little bit of strife with a couple of the players, obviously. But I think if I can hold trades this week and then potentially make a couple next week, just to get that strong 17 on the park for 14, then I'll be in a really good situation going forward. So hopefully for me this week, being ranked at 5,200, it's going to be a big moving week down into sort of the top 3,500. Like, you remember, guys, as it says here, this week's a buy round. Your team will score points from your best 13 players. The top 13 scores in this round, 16 and 19. All right. So you put in your starting 17, 13 plus your 4 reserves. And if it was in the case where you had no 2RFs, right, you'd have all your 4 reserves, and you can still just get your 1 auto emergency. So if most of your players are like in the CTW and you had like 6 or 7 of them and no 2RFs, you put all of them on here and you'd still get that 1 auto emergency if that added up to 13 there in that one. But yeah, the only probably one I'd want here, like I'm set in that fullback position, but it would be Teddy, to be honest. Like everyone else in this situation, I'm very happy with where I'm at across the CT dub. The halves, I've got Walker in there, I've got Brown. Second row forward, pretty good situation with Aiken, Paul, Smithies. Like, you can get maybe 1 better, but guys I've got on the bench are going to be good for next week. Not too much extra you can do in the front row forward, and then Bradley's going to be solid. I don't have like a Jeremy Marshall King or a Reid Marnie, but he's still going to be a solid one there in that one. All right, just a quick head back to the game day, just to check where we're at in terms of the leagues as well. It's loading slowly. Alrighty, cool. Let's head on into... There you go. Needs to reload on me. Thank you, Supercoach. Coming back. All right, we're good now. Podmasters. So it's funny, after having a really, really solid week, I end up only moving 1 spot up. I'm into 39th. This is in the game day section, but you can see how many 1300s and 1400s there were across the week in this one. And I've snuck myself into 39th. Even making up 2,500 rankings, I only moved up 1 spot. So when I was looking at this, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not going to make a lot of ranks, but it was, I suppose, just the people that know their stuff and are doing good things in these last few weeks are making those big inroads. And just a few of the guys that are in the in sort of that top couple around the 60 mark now, 50 and 60, and then a few in the top sort of 100 to 200 ranks, which is a really solid position there going forward. That is for sure. All right, just struggling to load a little bit. I'll leave that for there, and let's move to the head-to-head team for fantasy. So for the head-to-head squad without Nicho Hynes, did end up managing an 832 with Brown uploading to 51 as well, so that worked out okay. But yeah, like my team, a couple of players didn't go so well there in that one. I didn't end up having to take Hughes, but what's funny is that I should have taken him over Silva Havili, who ended up with an 18 off the bench there. So he's going to be the guy that I'll be removing this week, that's for sure. But plus 54, trading in Reed Marnie for his 59 was great. Nikora, he's been an average trade, and obviously the last 2 weeks have been pretty poor. We had a good one the first week, but since then hasn't been great, and he's been very, very underwhelming. But Blaze Solangi's 38, pretty solid. Just not having guys like Aitken with his 70-odd. And trading in Manu for his 58 was good, and having Cole with his 58. Strange is 29, Blaw's 23, and Havili's 18. Just allowed for things to slow down a little bit. Oh, of course, Garrick went up 5 points too. Yeah, I didn't notice that. Beautiful. Just helps my squad out. That's all right. He's got to buy this week. I don't have to worry about him in my team, that's for sure. But yeah, that's where we're at, 832. And the good thing is we did win actually a couple of the leagues that were important to us in that week, which was good. And we're sitting at 8th there in my head-to-head 18. Yeah, 3rd out of 4th, not that great. 17th in the big head-to-head league there. We've got to start getting some wins, but that was a good one there. 3rd, 6th, 2nd, 9th, 8th, and 6th. So we did pick up a couple of wins, a couple of losses across the board there. Sort of 2 out of that 5 there. And it looks like, guys, we do have a bunch of fixtures still happening in next week. So we've only got three head-to-head comps that aren't playing round 13. And that's why I've actually had to change the strategy a little bit and get things right, just for that main reason. So when I look to my round 13 team, I've got Havili is the guy that's the only one that's out from my 13. I do have Strange as an extra who can cover and loop for the halves and also the centers. So that's cool. But Sharks end up playing the Eels in their game. So it's very hard to loop given they play before Raiders. So I think I'll have to loop in that half position. So yeah, it doesn't really help me at all there, and more just the fact if I want to play Strange over one of those two. But Havili, very, very likely at this scenario, at this stage to be getting traded to Max King. I think that's a very easy switch, and I do have enough cash. Havili straight to him. I've got 680 in the bank, so that's fine on that front. Yeah, and I think that's where we're at this point. Just continuing to get rid of the guys that aren't performing too well, and Havili's one of those. We have, in terms of guys that are out at this point on our bench there, it's only really Cole with his hamstring injury. It looks like it's fairly minor. But you look at that and you look at the main starters now, and it's a pretty good situation. Like, I'd love to have Joey Manu in my main team, and that's not the case. But I have him in here, which is cool. And I have Dylan Brown being the best half at this stage. So if I can get King in as well, I have the best hooker. I should end up scoring better in this team than I should in my overall team there. Unless Fuller goes nuts and does good things in terms of the edge. Like, Aitken is the big missing link. Like, it's likely at the moment that he'll outdo Nikora. So we could end up fairly similar there as well. But both in a pretty good position to make some ranks in round 13 without having to trade too much. So none in my team, just the one here in the head-to-head side as well. So that's that. And now we're going to move on to the Supercoach head-to-head side. The slide on this poor side, it's tough. It's tough. We got into 3,000 only a matter of 3 weeks ago, and now out to 9,200 overall. But that's obviously not the main focus. It's getting wins in these head-to-heads, and I definitely can't be winning head-to-heads with 1,138 as the score. And there are a few issues in this one. A few guys I had to change around. And for most of you that do follow the weekly videos, you'll be able to remember what I had to do there. But AFB being out, I ended up just holding him, and it didn't. No, I'm kidding. That would have been nice if that was actually a win. 11.38 versus 11.36. No, 13.36. So I got smashed in those two head-to-heads there, and still sitting now at 16th in both of them. But let's go for the one where I was to win. But he had to play Hughes over AFB, and he had his lowest score in a while. Thankfully had Holmes and Drinkwater. Drinkwater's VC there, 105. I was like, it's probably not enough to take. If I VC'd Holmes, I would have taken it, and that would have ended up putting me in a good position there. But it wasn't to be on that front. But Reed bringing him in for 76 was good. Appy 66, along with Meany 71, really solid. But I captained Dom Young in the end, and it just didn't get out to him. Just wasn't his game at all, and that's how the cookie crumbles. People aren't captaining him for the big games most of the time, and the unluckiness struck there. But I did need to go to try and beat a couple of the guys I was up against. I did need to go for a little bit of a point of difference captaincy, and we know that he has that big upside. Based on sort of projections, I was projected to lose some of these guys, and they had different captains. So I went for this one here. You can see the opposition here end up captaining Nico Hines for his 3, so that's pretty tough. Yeah, had Hines in there. Talangi, Brown, Asako, all really, really good there. Played Galvin in this team, thank goodness. Crichton 82 was good. And then some low ones there with Sean Lane, Iro, May had to play. Old Shawnee in that front. But yeah, Liam Henry. So playing him over Hughes would have been the correct one. Obviously, hindsight is fun. And then ended up playing Plath, and thank goodness he ended up sticking in there. And there was some rumours that he wasn't going to play. But that was cool. So that worked out well. On that front, we do still own Joe Chan in this side as something to think about. And doesn't matter, obviously, with a bye this week. But Adam Fanua-Blake, same situation there. He'll be missing this week anyway. And as the two important head-to-head matchups they play, one of them plays the buys and one doesn't, which is, yeah, something to think about as well. So Val's going to come out. He's not playing. Let's pop Strange in there. The big thing there is obviously Taylor May that I've owned here. He's been stood down by the NRL as well. So he is the trade this week for Armstrong. So I will end up with 6 centre wings, which is going to be really, really cool. I won't be needing to reserve Meaney. So 6 centre wings. Drinkwater is 7. Brown's going to be 8 there. And then I've got Lane, Plath for 10, 11 and 12, Kai Paul and Smithies. I've got Hughes and May for 14, and then Reed Marnie for 15. So I will end up making that one trade, which will get me to 15. I'm going to leave it at that one trade, to be honest with you there. Get Armstrong and can deal with potential of, thank goodness that Henry ended up getting a good score because his price will keep going up. But Chan will need to go next week. And by trading Talon to Armstrong, it's going to leave me with almost 300k to make a nice upgrade in that 2RF because I absolutely need to next week. Smithies could be one to go as well. Lane definitely needs to move on. We need to move on from him. So there's a couple of guys in there. Maybe I trade one of them before I trade Chan. And yeah, that's kind of my general situation with the head-to-head team right now. This week seems to be a week of conserving. If you've prepared well already, you shouldn't have to trade this week because you've already got the team sorted and there were no injuries really to key players outside of sort of Jack Cole, especially from more of a fantasy side and aspect. So yeah, that's where you should be at, prepared, and then maybe you're making a trade or couple or something like that in 14, prepping yourself for 16. Same thing, yeah, each couple of weeks in advance, you want to be at least with your trade. So that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Vanaka, we're talking in here in Fiji. Thank you for being here, and can't wait to go through those team lists tomorrow afternoon with you, and we'll go from there. See you, team.